Recently, a gospel recording artist and choir teacher was arrested for allegedly paying teen underage boys for specific vital sex acts. Tyrone Bowman live. This story is coming out of Louisiana, and the video is courtesy of the Law and Crime Network. This video is of a sensitive nature. That is the disclosure that I'm putting out now. And pay attention, parents, to where your children are at all times. This story has to be told.
For some, they look forward to Sundays because nothing beats an upbeat church service or an incredible gospel singer to bring the people together. But we're law and crime, and there's a sad reason I'm reporting on this story, because the gospel singer and former choir teacher was arrested on serious charges after her mom sounded the alarm after allegedly seeing concerning messages on her son's phone. Thanks for joining us on Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner. Josh Kegler was an accomplished gospel singer. Just a few months ago, he was being congratulated for his contributions to a Grammy Award-winning gospel album. He's amassed a following of tens of thousands of followers on Instagram alone. But now he's in a New Orleans jail cell accused of child sex trafficking and rape. This is Josh Kegler. He was a choir teacher, and by listening to the sound of his voice, you get why. But the 38-year-old was booked into jail on Tuesday on 5 counts of trafficking of children for sexual purposes, 5 counts of indecent behavior with juveniles, 1 count of third-degree rape, and 1 count of sexual battery. So what happened, and how did this fall from grace occur? Most kids hate the idea of their parents going through their phone, but one concerned mom reportedly did just that. She told investigators she saw text on her 16-year-old son's cell phone, and we don't know the full extent of the messages or what they say. We just know, according to reports, it was messages from an adult man that were sexual in nature. According to WWL Louisiana, the teen told investigators he was approached by a teacher from Warren Easton Charter High School, and that teacher was Josh Kegler. Now, I don't know about you, but my teachers weren't inviting me over to smoke weed. But that's what the teen told investigators, according to the report. Josh Kegler even allegedly began paying the boy through Cash App for sexual activities. The 16-year-old was reportedly asked to do push-ups in his underwear and stand naked while blindfolded. Court documents cited by WDSU allege Josh Kegler's actions escalated from observations to physical contact. According to police, they have evidence too, like Cash App records, rideshare records, because allegedly the former choir teacher was either personally picking up the boy and dropping him off, or he was arranging rideshare services. According to WDSU, rideshares were sent 6 different times between January 26th and February 15th, and Cash App records show 6 payments made to the teen between those same dates. He's currently being held on no bond, but New Orleans police are asking any other potential victims to come forward. In a statement, they said, quote, "We understand this may be difficult, but your safety and privacy are our top priority. You are not alone." According to reports, Josh Kegler is no longer a teacher at Warren Easton Charter School, and the school is fully cooperating with the investigation. In a statement, officials with the school write, quote, "We have been made aware of an ongoing police investigation involving an individual who was previously employed at Warren Easton during 2024 to 2025 school year. This individual is no longer employed at the school. While we are unable to share specific details due to privacy laws and the active nature of the investigation, we can confirm that we are fully cooperating with the New Orleans Police Department. The safety and well-being of our students is and always will be our top priority." So let's break down everything we know so far with criminal defense attorney Safa Robinson Ferrer. Safa, always great to see you. Josh Kegler is a popular, and it seemed like up until his arrest, a very well-respected gospel singer and teacher. But what's your reaction to the allegations that he's facing right now?
Unfortunately, these allegations aren't surprising. We've heard different dynamics of individuals who may be teachers or individuals of faith-based communities who do allegedly partake in some of this behavior, or have allegedly victimized youth in their capacity as, a religious advisor or as a teacher. So unfortunately, it's not a surprise here. It's a very unfortunate situation, for this youth and for, I'm sure, the congregation and everybody that's involved.
And always, anytime you hear something bad happening to a child, you just kind of take notice of this. And Josh Kegler faces very serious charges, including rape and child sex trafficking. When it comes to child sex trafficking and those particular allegations, do you think those particularly stem from just the transportation aspect of these allegations in terms of the ride shares and dropping the boy off and picking him up, those types of things? Why child sex trafficking?
Absolutely. I think, under the New Orleans statutory law that would govern this, it does have to do with the transportation of that young person for the purposes of engaging in sexual activity. There also could be a component of it, a financial component of it. I'm not sure if that's specific to New Orleans law or not, or Louisiana law or not, but that transportation, and we've seen that very similarly in other cases like the Sean Diddy Combs case, where that transportation factor alone, whether that be via interstate lines or even just transporting an individual from one location to another in a particular city or county or jurisdiction, could qualify as sex trafficking if their transportation is for the purpose of engaging in sexual activity.
And adding that the alleged victim in this case is also a child too, it kind of seems like that is probably the reason as well. And it seems like maybe this case wouldn't have come to light had the boy's mom not seen those messages between allegedly Josh Kegler and her son. But what are your thoughts, had she not reported this, that there might be other victims out there, or just the fact that her son might still be going through what he had gone through with Josh Kegler allegedly? But in terms of just the mom finding this, reporting it, doing all the right things, what are your thoughts overall on that?
Thank goodness that she did. That was the ability to put a stop to this, because oftentimes when we see children as victims, they don't know how to say no. They don't know how to get out of that situation where you have somebody that's older than you, that may have money, may be providing you with certain things, money and things of that nature. And they're an authoritative figure, in your eyes. So it can be very difficult for young people to try to get themselves out of that situation. So thank goodness that this mom did find those text messages and was able to ring the alarm. Now, it would not be surprising if there are other victims. Oftentimes when you see individuals who engage in this type of activity, specifically sexual abuse sexual abuse in connection with young children or young youth, when there's one, there's more. So I think that there is going to be a continued investigation now that this has come to light, to see if there are any other child victims out there.
And that was going to be my next question to you, because it's hard for me to imagine that this was just the one and only alleged victim in this case. And of course we still have to say alleged and everything like that, but it's hard for me to believe that this is the one and only victim, because the allegations are pretty shocking, at forcing the boy to do push-ups and payments and doing things while naked. And again, this is just a child here, whether or not he's 16 years old, not exactly sure what the age of consent is in Louisiana, but it doesn't really matter. But in terms of just there possibly being more victims out there, I'm kind of with you, Safa, where I kind of feel like there might be more out there, because it just seems like it's just such a strong leap from, asking a boy to smoke weed at your house to just making him do all these alleged sexual acts naked and all these things to a child. But overall, just the possibility that there might be more victims out there. What are your thoughts on how they might be feeling seeing this case kind of come to light now?
Absolutely. And to your point, one of the things that I also wanted to say was, people, when you look at individuals who are sexually abusive or sexual predators, they don't just start at going all out. There may be a pattern of escalating behavior and things that they may do that will get them comfortable enough and get them sure enough that they can victimize or do this particular act to this particular child or youth. And it's been a pattern that's been long established. So oftentimes you don't see someone for the first time, coming through with a rape allegation it's been something that's been going on, and there may be other individuals. And so there's always strength in numbers. When you see things like this, oftentimes people now feel comfortable to come forward and speak their truth. And it can be a little bit more difficult for young males who are victims because of the societal stigmas of you're a boy, you're a man, quote unquote, and boys don't cry, and you don't let another man touch you in that way if that's the view that they take. And so oftentimes they may shut down and not say anything. But now seeing that this may have happened to this young man, this may have happened to other young men, particularly if it's within the congregation or just in the community. I think that, and I would hope that seeing that makes them comfortable to come forward and to be able to disclose some of the things that have happened to them as well, if they exist.
And I could see this possibly sparking a domino effect if, to your points off, if they exist too. And, some things that go through my head, especially when it comes to the evidence that came out in this type of case, you have things like Cash App records, and you have text messages, rideshare records that correspond with the dates of these alleged incidents. And as a criminal defense attorney, and say you're defending your client, how do you defend your client, especially against these types of allegations when it seems like law enforcement and prosecutors have a lot that they're holding against you?
It can be very difficult, and and I always caution specifically with cases like this where children are the victims, is the defense is going to have to either go at this, and it's not either. They're going to have to say this didn't happen if that is the case in the direction that they decide to take. They're going to try and want to paint this as a relationship that was just sort of a mentorship relationship, big brother, little brother, or father figure.
Let me just interject this here. I understand what this attorney is saying, but okay, first of all, these are serious, serious charges. And this case is about a gospel recording artist and a choir teacher whose mother found compromising things on his telephone coming from this grown adult. And apparently, and they use the term alleged, so I'll use it. And it seems like this former choir artist and teacher was allegedly paying the underage teen for specific sex acts. And there was enough incriminating evidence for the mother to question her son and call the police and arrest the former choir teacher. And if you got to listen, Steph, because I'm going through it now, and I'll get back to the video in a minute. So this is coming from Louisiana, and it was reported that a choir artist and teacher was having some type of twisted, alleged relationship with an underage teenage boy. And the mother found the telephone, she found the Cash App transactions, she found explicit text messages and some other stuff on the phone. She called the police. They arrested him. He's now sitting in a cell, and he's now sitting in a cell. Bail has been denied, so that means that the judge is convinced that these charges are very, very serious and that the real has got about 10 different charges, and he doesn't want to take a chance of him being back out on the streets. And I understand the position that this lawyer is trying to take. But the question is, how are you going to defend him? Because you can't. And there's no way he's walking out of that prison free. So Stephen said, I'm against the death penalty, but it does make me slightly question that when it comes to people like these. All right, I understand your position. Fred said something earlier, and I laughed at it because it was a humorous comment. He said, pimping ain't easy. That's why I was laughing earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get back to the story. You can look it up yourself on Law and Crime. So I happen to find this video on Law and Crime, and I'm going to keep you updated on it as information is made available. And I'm going to say this to those of you have young children, young teenagers. They're probably involved in activities, sports activities, church activities. Know where your children are. Know where your children are. Make sure you talk to them constantly. Now let's get back to this video.
This young man's life, and that these things didn't happen. or if some of those things happen, maybe the smoking of marijuana or the giving of money, that there was an alternative reason for that, that maybe this young man just liked smoking marijuana, so did this male, and so they did it together from time to time, or the young man needed money for certain things, and that's why he provided the cash apps. Again, not to say that that is, the view that I take with this specifically, but those are some of the things that we can expect the defense to counteract to. Also, I believe there was a forensic examination that was done here. We don't know if there's a physical examination as of yet, but if there is there DNA? Is there DNA evidence? And DNA evidence was specific to male-to-male victims and male-to-male sexual contact is very crucial, and it's important because that will be able to establish that there was some type of physical relationship between the two that had been occurring.
And in terms of just maybe the school and the church, do you think that they hold any type of liability when it comes to a case like this, that maybe the boy did meet Josh Kegler at school and those types of things? And obviously the school is cooperating with the investigation. That's what they said in a press release statement. But in terms of just possible liability, does the church or the school face any of that?
It's going to depend. They can certainly go after the school or the church. And there's going to be a question of how liable were they? They employed this individual. Did they have other instances where other children or youth complained about this individual? Whether or not they got previous complaints of this individual's inappropriate contact and comments and relationships with young people is all going to be a factor. And truthfully speaking, whether it's in a school setting or in a church-like setting, there are people that watch. These things don't just come out of thin air. There are people that might say, that's a little funny looking over there, like that touch or that comment was a little inappropriate, but a lot of times people don't say anything, maybe because this is a popular individual, or they may be pretty high on the totem pole in their community, and so they don't want to say anything, but you're responsible for that. Specifically, and especially if you are a school, teachers are mandated reporters. So those things are not excused, and it can really put the school and the church on the hook in terms of liability for this.
We'll see how this continues to play out. Safa Robinson Ferrer, I want to thank you so much for your time and your insight into this case. Before we sign you off, though, right now Josh Kegler is being held behind bars on no bond. He has an arraignment coming up sometime soon. Do you think that'll change, that he'll still be held behind bars, or do you think it's possible a judge will grant him bail?
Louisiana is a pretty tough state. I would never want to be arrested in the state of Louisiana.
No,
so I don't really see this individual, considering that there are threats and allegations of this nature. I don't see him making bail or bond, and if there is a bail that's ultimately set, I think it's going to be extremely high.
Oh, yeah, and I agree, and I guess we'll see what happens at his upcoming hearing. Again, Safa Robinson Ferrer, thank you so much for your insight into this case. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, just before I have my closing comments, somebody said, G Money said, Unc has a crispy liner. Well, that's thanks to my barber. I have nothing to do with that. That's all the barber's work, my brother. Respectfully, some of your streams aren't long enough. Stefan, I do put headings on all of my streams. I've recorded over 2,000 videos. And every one of my videos are headed. They all have headlines. And sometimes people come in the middle of the video, and if you come in the middle of it, or if you come while I'm in it, you don't get a chance to see the heading. So all my videos have headings on them. And the reason why, because I'm a journalist, I'm a broadcaster, and a commentator. So I understand the importance of informing people, and I'm also a law student. And I would just say this. I see a lot of stuff in court all the time. I hear all kinds of stories. And all I'm going to say is, this dude better hope and pray for his sake that this stuff ain't true. But it appears to be true, because he's got all these cash act transactions, and that's called a paper trail. I have memory problems. I'm sorry to hear about that, Stefan. I hope that that you're able to find some comfort and get some help that you need. So check out the headings on the videos. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching Tyrone Bowman Live. I got to get to class for a while. And If you haven't subscribed to the channel, think about subscribing to the channel. I'll keep you updated on a lot of stories that's happening at one time. All right. Until later on today, never surrender, never quit.